Sick. Oh, I need to do like a clap thing, right? Like, Yo, welcome to CandlerCreativeChats. I'm Dan Candler and I'm joined today with an awesome individual by the name of Joshua Ivey. Joshua Ivey is an artist, he's a martial artist, he's a dancer, and recently, which I literally just found out a couple of days ago, he's an awesome content creator. Yeah bro, I've been looking, man. So sick, thank you so much Josh for coming. I'm going to take this off, man, I want to see you in colour.
Hey, let's go.
Thank you so much for coming, man.
It is my absolute pleasure. Honestly, I was, man, as soon as you hit me up, I was like, let's do a podcast. I was like, yes, let's go.
I've been so gassed to do this for a while, and we filmed an in-person podcast recently with like the podcast Flames, and we had like the whole setup and everything, and like it was just such a vibe. So I really want to do like this more, and I'm so glad that you're like one of the first kind of like interviewees in person where we're going legit. So sick. So Josh, let's tell the audiences, let's tell the people who are tuning in and watching who you are. Like, give us a little bit of a backstory, like how you, just tell us a bit about yourself.
So originally I would say art was probably the very first thing that I was ever interested in from a very young age. And as many people know, as you know, many of the viewers will know, art transcends into so many different avenues. So I then went into dancing. That was a whole story, but we can expand on that.
We'll
get there. Went into dancing, then went into martial arts as well. In between all of that, the content creation was kind of steadily building ever since dancing. You know, you needed to have photos, you needed to have videos of yourself, you needed to have all those little things, and because of that, that's where the kind of content creation developed like along the way, because I realized, man, I'm gonna have to pay how much for a show reel? I'm like nah, I'm not trying to do that. So like I was like, let's figure out a way for me to do it myself. Same thing if I needed someone to cut music, you know, it's cost. So I was like, let me figure out how to do it myself. Photography, let me figure it out, and then that's kind of how it all meshed together. But
we don't realize as creatives how big a creative entrepreneurs we are.
Yeah, it's insane.
You know, I mean, we have to. You know, I've spoken about this before, I think, on the podcast. How, you know, we always see how we have to say, you know, I'm a photographer, so most people are like, okay, cool, I have to focus on my photography and getting that slick and all this. It's so much more than that. Even having like a space like this where you can speak to people and you have to have a whole multifaceted, is that the right word? Understanding of everything, especially now, and with the content creation then, when you had this mindset, was that when you were going into going into the dance and martial arts, and when was that? When did you start transitioning into the dance and martial arts?
So start from the beginning. So I originally, when I left school, not the best grades, but I wanted to go down the design route, the art route, with a little bit of dance on the side. And then, unfortunately, I was turned down from that route, and man, I was lost. I'm telling you, I was lost. I was thinking to myself, man, like some of my friends are going off to, sixth form, people are getting into uni early, all little bits like that, and I was like, what am I gonna do? And then they sent me to Connections after turning me down. I don't know if you remember Connections. There was they were like for UK schools.
Right.
They were like not like a counselor. They were like people that would direct you in the right way if you didn't know where you were going. So they kind of said, what else are you good at? And I said, well, I dance, I dance and I love it and I really enjoy it. They said, well, why don't you try something in that? So they then pitched, all these different magazines in front of me of different colleges all over the place. And I was like, I picked the 4 most colourful ones and I was like, let me get that one, I'll take this one, stuck it on. And I called them and most of them said, look, we don't have any, we don't have any space available for you, or it's too late for you to enroll. And then one of the last ones I called was Amersham and Wickham College. And I called them up, they said, look, sorry, but we can't put you on a higher course. However, you could do a foundational course and then transition into the higher course. And I was like, yes, I'll take it straight away. They said, but you're going to have to audition. So I worked on my routine, dance-wise, which was...
Just pause,
do you remember?
Just pause right there, sorry. I have a feeling I didn't turn this video off. Sorry.
I love it.
Cool, right, so let's get back to it. So foundation course.
Yeah,
and you
foundation course.
That was the direction. You were doing your routine.
Yeah. Audition came along. I was prepping for the routine. I don't know if you ever heard. Do you remember Mike's song? Tutter, like he was doing like all this crazy stuff. He was always really animated. Kinges,
but
like
for everyone who
affiliated.
doesn't know,
man, Mike Song was one of the best dancers. Like for me personally to look at. Like he was so animated. It was that style at the time, and he did this routine to a track which I only know the title. I think the title is Boing Boom Chak is what it's called, and I was like, I love that track. I'm going to audition to that. So I went in, did the audition in front of a panel, which is Tyra Fu. I don't know if anyone knows Tyra Fu, but you've got to check her out. She's awesome.
Let us know in the comments if you do. Yeah. I don't.
So she watched my audition and then went, okay, stay there. I'm going to go get the head of department. So she went, got the head of department and said, I want you to do exactly that again the same way. And I was like,
no pressure. No pressure, but you've never been watched before dancing, and here's a load of people to watch you.
I made the last part up, so I had to try and do it the same way. Anyway, the pressure was on. I did it again, and then Becca, who literally supported me throughout, like the first part of my dancing career, basically turned around and was like, you know what, I'm going to offer you a place on a higher course. And I was like, sick, let's go. Called my dad. My dad already a dancer. He was like, you better get those GCSEs. And I was like, love my dad, love him. Like, he wasn't like this. He was just like, cool, yeah. Make sure you get that maths, yeah? Yeah. He said, you can dance, but you better have that English and that maths on point. I was like, well, English I was good. Maths I had slightly on this. I was like, all right, cool. So worked hard, did the maths, did the dance course, ended up getting a full scholarship to Performers College.
Sick,
trained there for 3 years, and then went straight into West End. Now, during that time, just to kind of get back to the point about the content creation, during that time, a good friend of mine, Chris Painter, was very adept with tech, so like computers and stuff like that. So he knew what software to kind of use to, whether it was to mix music or whether it was to take, it was photography, videography, and we just experimented together during college, and very quickly realized that we both had quite a talent for kind of making stuff, and so we would make things together as well. And that just kind of fueled my passion towards, not just being in front of the camera dancing, but also looking at what's happening behind and how to look at things, because when you're a dancer, you're always looking at things anyway. You're learning from different artists, and the only way that you can see something, you see something like a incredible dance piece, but no one ever thought, man, who shot that? Who caught that moment? Who caught that memory? Even if you're just putting your camera up on the side and like recording, you still caught that memory, and someone has had to have had the vision to place the camera in a specific spot. And so from there you start to develop those skills. But I kid you not, I had no idea. I didn't know I was doing that. I used, just record this way, take this photo, this and the other, and you don't really realize what you've done until, nowadays, and you would have the term content creation. Because it wasn't there back then. We were just out here doing it, you're just doing it. You're just doing it because you're like, this cool, you're just doing it. Cool. Back then, if you probably look back at some of the footage you created, it's it's crazy. It just doesn't look the same.
Did you, when you were in school, were you dancing in school? Or did you just?
I was dancing in school.
Cool.
I had I had my boy Kyle Kays and Chris Marchi, whose name is Anesu, but people call him Chris as well. And we just started like dancing about, freestyling. Another girl that was in my school, Helene Oliviera, ended up going the same path in performers. She's still dancing now. But we had a little clique kind of like of people that would just like to dance, and we were making it up. I need to have the worm. I can't get my words out. I used to know how to do the worm, and then how to do the wave.
Yeah.
That was
That's
probably
always the one, bro.
And the rest was just footwork, jumping on the floor, spinning on my back and just hoping. Back like, oh man, I got into gymnastics, but like I wasn't trained, so like it was just if I jump and I throw myself backwards and I pull my knees to my chest, I should land on my feet. And we just kept training like that, and then like we developed a kind of little thing, and then we would do like little dance shows in school and stuff like that, and that was about the most I ever danced. And then watching, obviously, You Got Served, Step Up, all those things.
Yeah, bro.
Oh my days.
The first Step Up. I think that clip and Diversity. When I first like watched Diversity and Britain's Got Talent, I think that was like the catalyst to get me into the dance kind of direction.
Absolutely.
And then
George Sampson.
My guys. Like all of those guys, like, and it's almost like I remember being in dance college and stuff, and trying to think back at like who inspired me and stuff, and I would always. Because I almost feel like diversity and stuff almost like wasn't cool. Like when you go into like when you went forward and you were in like dance college and you've got all these major dances, and diversity was like wasn't even cool and all this shit. Like so I would almost like try and think of a different inspiration, but like now I'm like, nah bro, like this was my true inspiration, you know what I mean? Like diversity and like Step Up and like all these things that you just like subconsciously watch, and you just, I think being a multifaceted, I keep wanting to say this word but I know it's wrong, being like a multidisciplined creative, an inner multidisciplined creative, even though you don't even realize it, I think we catch on certain different things, and it triggers something within us, like something within our brain that just goes, yo, like I need to do that.
I get you.
And everything in your orifice just has to do that thing. Like
has to do that thing.
Because that's been like my thing. I started doing like circus stuff, and I think by doing circus stuff, especially like Diablo, doing Diablo, it's very flowy, so you have to have this kind of flow to it, and I think my body and my just my movement really like attract, maybe even subconsciously attracted to this idea of like say the waving and like the popping and like I sound so fucking British like saying that, the waving and the popping.
That's foundations, bro.
But you know what I'm saying? Like and I think that's what caught me to that. So it's cool and nice to hear all of your different pathways and see that kind of journey, like with the dance, and then seeing the content creation because you want to capture it, and then you're like, oh cool, how can I move and do?
Honestly, what you just said is so inspiring, because I love how like you've related those two things together, because that's something that for me hearing that for the first time, I never would have known that that would have been your connection, and how you made that connection could have been by
But
chance.
I don't even
it's
think
incredible. Like, you know
no,
what
exactly,
I mean?
and I don't think I never realised it. But something I promote to everyone to do is to really try and like look at your whole entire life and now, and really paint a picture of your own reality and the awareness of what that is. Like, how did you get to this point from a little situation that happened when you were like 10? You know what I mean? And like, think of those pathways, and it really paints a picture of like who you really are. And now I will always go back to all these different things and see how I got to here, and it then brings you back to a sense of, almost like a sense of gratitude, because you look at that and you go, holy shit, like that really was my start, and I've gone from that not knowing what the fuck is going on to this point of like, you know, meeting dope people like yourself and like doing like this shit and content creation and meeting all these different people and being able to connect with all these people. And so that's why I get so much passion from hearing especially stories like yourself, where you have almost seen your journey, and you've seen the connection between your journey.
I get you, but like, it's weird because you never see it while you're in it.
Fully.
You have no idea why you're doing these things. I get what you mean when you say like you have that wholehearted feeling that that's where you need to go and that's what you have to do, but you've got no explanation. There's it's not like someone said, sometimes it is, sometimes, why don't you try that, you know? But you know that if you don't do it, there's going to be a form of regret. Sometimes it's a timing thing, so you know, okay, if I'm not going to do it now, I'm going to come around to it at some point. But I feel like the timing for creatives is everything. Like, if you're doing something and it's not working in the way that you think it's working, guarantee it's working out for something. You don't know what it is yet, but it's working out for something. Like, and like, you wouldn't know until one day you're met in a situation and you whip out a skill and you're like, where did I learn that from? Like, you're like, I don't know where I learned that from, but you probably learned something or are passionate about something that relates directly to what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, like you have like you know, when you say multifaceted, I don't think that's necessarily like a wrong thing. I think that it, like, that's so on point, because, you know, on this side of things you've been working on something, on this side of things you've been working something, this side of things you've been working something, but also it's all at different times. And then when you come out of, you know, your kind of conscious self to reflect, and you kind of step back, look at yourself, you're like, oh, I've done this, I got 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 this. Shit. Like, I learned that, which relates to this, which relates to that, and then you see it, and it all comes together.
Exactly, bro.
And you've got so many skills, and people are like, yo, man, like, you must get this a lot. And I know that there's a lot of creative people that do. And I appreciate it more than people ever know when you say, man, you're so talented at so many different things. You know, so talented.
You're such a jack of all trades.
Yeah. I love that. The word talent sometimes, it depends on, you know, who's saying it, how they're saying it sometimes. Like, no negativity or anything like that, but sometimes, you know, you say talent, but you didn't necessarily see the hours that are put in on that specific subject. Passion, the focus, your whole energy is going towards that thing, and then once you've figured out enough, it then leads you on to the next thing. Like, it always transitions you. So sometimes it's not talent, it's just the fact that you've been really interested in it, so you spent enough time on it to understand it, and then you've moved on to the next thing. And man, I'm so here for it. I'm here for everything. So like, if someone's like, you want to try something, go do it.
That's what I mean, man. I think people say like me and you and other different creatives who from the get-go kind of experimented and tried different creative outlets. I think those are the people who are going to be the future.
Oh man,
Because and this is why I say this all the time on, say, the podcast, and I say to everyone why I think, like, almost why I started CandlerCreative is because for so long, I've been told by so many different people, even creatives, and even gone to networking things or things, and they say you need to have your one creative thing and you stick to that for 10 years and that's your thing, and like you just have to get so sick at that. And it's just like, I think that's the old way of doing things. That's so the old way of doing things. It's so the old kind of industrial kind of mentality of like of just sticking to your one persona.
I feel you.
And that's your persona, because if you do anything else, you're confusing. I don't get you. I can't work with you. You can't make me money. And like, that is like, we're in a social media world now where you can do 500,000 different things. You can speak to 500,000 different people. And that, I think that mentality, they're still trying to claw onto this. The higher powers that be, still trying to claw onto this. But there's more and more people who are speaking up and going, actually, you know what? Like, I want to do my own thing.
Absolutely.
And I want to use this, and I want to do this and this and this. And you know what? I'm going to turn this into a business.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn this into my brand.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we all need to. We kind of. That's going to be like the future. I think is we are all going to be our own separate brands, and we are all going to work with different communities and different people using their different multi-creative skills.
It's going to be more collaborative.
It's going to be more collaborative, and I think the idea of collaboration will, I hope, get a better name for itself, because I think people in the creative world struggle because it's hard, and especially when you start working however many years, the idea of collaboration in your mind is you're thinking, oh, it's a free thing. I'm not going to get paid from it. This isn't going to be anything to my life. And I just think that needs to go out the window. We need to start thinking more about the true passion collaborations of it, rather than thinking of the financial aspect of it. Because those collaborative connections, I think just means so much more, and you get so much more value from that, which then later down the line could mean a financial gain, which obviously we will need to survive and to push forward. But yeah, I just don't want to.
Man, you're so quick with that. Like, man, I love it. Like if there's one thing that like I can say off the back of that point, I actually I haven't released this yet, but no, it's good. I actually have like a part 2 of the podcast that I did recently.
Sick. Guys, just to let you know, Josh does a dope podcast. It's dope personal. I don't know. Okay. Josh does a dope podcast.
Thank you.
And it's just like his personal podcast, and it's just basically giving a light on like what you do, right, in your world.
Yeah.
Sorry. So continue. Part 2.
Yeah, part 2 was basically highlighting the events that you and Ella put on. And
hey, sick.
And when I tell you, you say about collaboration, it should be for money, but I say in it that actually I may have said it in the first one as well, but it's just the educational aspect of it. Like if people can view collaboration as educational, education is priceless. Everyone knows that education was priceless because of how much you have to freaking pay to go to the top universities and or even just to go to like a seminar of someone that's speaking, trying to educate you. But if you can view collaboration as education instead of having to be always paid for it, of course, like you said, there should be a point where absolutely you should be paid for it. But the more educated you get by learning from other people, the easier it will be to get paid for it. And that's something that's really, really helped me throughout life. I feel like my dad has that mindset. He's all for okay, do it for free for a certain amount, learn enough until you're valuable enough that people want to pay you for your trade. Bouncing off the back of what you said of something earlier as well, which was about the kind of you should stick to one thing, and I remember you saying, you know, off the back of what I said about people calling you a jack of all trades. You know what the full sentence is, right? Have you ever heard of it before? I heard this on a reel, and I literally played it over and over and over and over and over and over again one day. You know when you're just chilling in your house and normally you play music? I had this on repeat over and over again. And the full sentence is, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but still always better than a master of one. That's the actual saying. But people always cut it to a jack of all trades, master of one. But still always better than a master of one. Because it like, man, come on. You know, like, if you can do multiple things in the long run, I've been checking out a few podcasts of people, and one person that sticks out to me the most is this guy called Alex Hormozy, and he's big on like gyms and stuff like that in America. He's honestly like one of the most inspirational people at the moment. It's recent for me, but he was one of those people that likes to do loads of different things, you know, this and the other. But if you have multiple talents or multiple skills, you recognize people that have the same skill and same potential in those specific areas. Now, say that person also recognizes it in you, you then form a connection, you build a team, you know? So a lot of, like, you know, some of the most incredible people that you can think of that are killing the game at the moment, you can never say that they're good at one thing. All the billionaires, you can never say that they got rich off of one thing. No. They developed their craft and then automatically transitioned into another skill.
And just off the back of that, something I hear all the time, like, especially I listen to Stephen Bartlett's podcast. Shout out Stephen Bartlett. Get involved.
Crazy.
My guy.
Diary,
yeah,
Diary of that.
Like he's
CEO.
I love Stephen Bartlett, especially his podcast, because he really does shine an honest light into entrepreneurship, and I think when we think of entrepreneurship, that's why I say creative entrepreneur, because and I got that from a member of the community, Amber. I never say. I really try to say people's last names, but I always seem to get it wrong. And I always embarrass myself. So Amber. Anyway, Amber. It's roughly. But anyway, I might have to cut this out. But anyway, Amber put out Creative Entrepreneur, and I fucking love that, because I think we still think of entrepreneurs as business, as these CEO fucking scum of the earth, like just trying to take all our money. And what Stephen Bartlett does with his podcast is he shines a light on the true humanity of these entrepreneurs, and there's so much more than what they
incredible.
And what most of these entrepreneurs say and they discuss is how most of the time they didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
No idea.
The skills that they needed, they didn't have. So they would connect with other people who were smarter than them. So they have their skills that they're kind of good at, and they're kind of all right, and then they go to other people to enhance that. You know, we all think that we have to do this alone.
Yeah.
And in order for us to be our successful selves, I have to do it on my own. And it's just not the case. Like, we can all grab success and just help one another get to that. And that's another reason why I say the community and stuff, is because I want to spread this message, because especially with like, when I was forming this community and stuff, like I knew there was an idea, and it's like what we were just saying, how like there's something in you that goes, right, I want to do this. Like there's something that's just telling me like I need to do this. And I knew I wanted to do it. I had no idea how to do it. I had no idea who to connect with. I still have no idea about business. I have no idea about marketing, any of this shit. Yeah. But along the way, like I've met certain people. So now I have a cool team of people who all have kind of caught onto this idea. And it isn't just me doing this now. You know what I mean? This is not just my success. This is going to be our success. You know what I mean? Like you're like a new addition to like the community and stuff, and like you had the event and like got you on board for that, and it's about like helping. Yeah, I was going on a bit of a tangent. I've lost my fucking train of thought.
No. But you're bang on, because like what you're saying about the whole connectivity, not doing it by yourself, and all of the bits like that, you have no idea. Like I feel like in my life I'm at a specific stage where I'm breaking cycles, like cycles that have kept me under for so long, be it whatever it is, work, relationships, between just so many different avenues of my life, and one of them is doing it by myself, doing things by myself, having that level of independence and saying, you know what, I want to take ownership for this because that's what I've done, and I this and I that, and it's not about that. And like honestly, I literally had broken that cycle. Boom, you dropped in my DMs. It was the craziest thing, because we had this conversation at Camden, you remember? And like you were saying about Stephen Bartlett, man. Shout out to him. That's how I found out about Alex Hormozy. Funny that you mentioned that. And like you said, people never had, they didn't know what they were doing until they had someone that had an idea, and then they directed them in like the right way. But I feel like in that sense, you also, something that's common between all the people that Stephen Bartlett interviewed, is that you had to be willing to be open to that, and as soon as I opened myself up to that possibility of being like, to be fair, I was just stressed. I was like, fuck, I can't do this by myself. Ping, yo bro, what are you saying? I've got this event on, and I was like, yo, I'm sick. I was like, and then I bumped into you invite me to this crazy event. And like I kid you not, I was like a kid in a candy store, like seeing so many other creators and stuff like that. And then off the back of that, ended up randomly sketching the person that then invited me to the next event. And you just have that, when you finally decide to open up to creativity, to connectivity, to stop deciding that you can do it all by yourself, things just start happening for you. And it feels not weird, but it feels. No,
it does though. It's like what we spoke about in Camden. It's like what we spoke about in Camden. Yeah. Like when
it's insane.
When the universe like aligns, and you see that.
Yeah.
It is crazy shit, bro. Like it's
insane
mental
feeling.
You know what I mean? Like I remember we had no affiliation. So I mean, I think because we know people of like, but I never knew that you were connected to like a load of like the boys and stuff.
I'll tell you one thing, I thought you were a bot at first. Like when
you thought I was a bot?
No, because it came through my requested, and I like honestly I get a few bots and I'm like, who are you? They're like, yeah man, try out this active wear, and it's like for females, you're like, I can't wear that. Like I mean, depending on what you like, but and like when it came through my requested, and I was like, oh, and then I looked, and then I was like, wait a second. And I checked you out, and I was like, yo, this guy's cool as shit. Like, I was like, who's this guy?
I don't even know.
I was like, no, like, it was so cool.
Because I think maybe you liked one of my stuff.
Yeah.
And then I looked at your page, liked a load of your shit. You randomly reached out to me and was like, oh, yo, sick, bro. Like, you're a cool dude, whatever. And then I remember that interaction. And I remember, like, I have to be honest, I think I forgot about your page for like a while. And then all of a sudden I was thinking of like different collaborations to do, and I was thinking of like, I think this was before we even starting to plan the event, and I was like, yo, you know what'd be sick? If we had a fucking dope artist to be like live drawing at the thing. And then all of a sudden I was like, holy fucking shit, I swear I was into, and I remember for like half an hour I was like, who the fuck was this dude, man? And I was like scrolling, I was like, I was like, yo, and I found out, I was like, yo, sick. Okay, cool. Right, let me go on this page, let me screenshot this motherfucker, and and then it all came about, and then the whole event thing. I was like, and then you were like the first guy I reached out to, because I knew a couple of different people. I was like, no, there's something. Again, it's that whole like, there's something that I need to message you in particular. I don't know what it was, but yeah, and here we are, and like maybe.
I love that because the timing, even of me transforming the page that I already had into an art page. I now remember, because you prompted me when you said that, I remember seeing shit. I can't remember what photo it was, but I was like, ooh, it was on my explore page. Like that's mad, because, you know, to get onto someone's explore page is massive, you know, it has a bottomless scroll, you know, but for me to see that at the right time, at the right place, to then click that interactive you like my stuff, I was like, that's sick, you know. But, you know, this interconnectivity that we have, you know, so people say a lot about social media, but without that, you know, that moment of putting the right person in front of me, you know, at the right time, that connectivity wouldn't have happened. But then there's also an element of us moving into the right place at the same time, which is weird, because I'd only just opened up my art page. I hadn't been posting up long. I'd been creating content as I go along, see your stuff, you know, interact with it, and then you DM me back, and I'm like, sick, like, go for it. And then just the way how things work out, it's almost like when you look, if you looked at the probability, you'd probably think to yourself, no way this is going to happen, you know? But when it does, it's so much more like, there's like a magic to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that event was magical. Like, it was just...
Let's talk about the event then. So I spoke a little bit. I've not like spoken on here too much about the event, like what went on. So I was going to do a separate episode, which I just haven't done yet. But with the event, I mean, I told the guys, everyone, like briefly about it, what went down. I spoke about you, I spoke about dancers and the models and all these people. So was that event, the Thrift Flip event, was that your first kind of event that you've kind of done a live kind of drawing? Or?
That was my first ever live drawing I've ever done. Like, I mean, unless I was just kept scribbling something in, like, randomly and my friends were around, like, but I've never done an event like that. And I also, funnily enough, had never thought of it, you know, and about maybe a week or two.
Pause. Week or two. You're saying a week or two.
Go.
I just realized. Sorry. So a week or two.
Let me quickly. We'll come back to a week. That's still cool. 37 minutes.
I might keep that in, you know. Alright, cool. Right. So, week or two.
Yes, a week or two before you messaged me, I was in Camden, and I walked past this guy, and he was just painting stuff, and his paintings were really cool. I just stood and stared at him for ages. I was like, that's really cool. I was like, this is really nice. I was like, I like the way how he's done this, I like the way he's done that. And then I stopped and I was looking around and I was just watching all the people watch him. Right? Did I make the connection? No. Not until I went, oh, okay. And yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Went home, like, you know, like, and I can't remember if I went home or wherever I was going, but I didn't realize that universally it was like, you're going to be doing that. And it's like, but that was a special moment because, like, in my head right now, I can replay it. I remember what he looks like. I remember his like, his stand. He's in Camden. You come out the station, take a right. He's before, there's like, you know, stores where they sell like jewelry and clothes, random clothes and stuff like that. He was in front of that. And I don't know if he's
right near the station.
Yeah, right next to the station.
Yeah, it's
come
like
out the station, take a right.
Yeah. I know
and he's on the same side as the station.
Yeah.
And man, he was just so cool, and I was like, that is awesome. And you don't make the connection. You're an artist. You could probably do the same thing. And then you're like, yo, man, you want to come draw life? And I was like, drawing life. I was like, sick. That's really cool. I'd love to do that. That'd be fun. Didn't have a clue what I was going to draw, but
that's exactly how I wanted it.
Yeah,
I wanted because the whole event, it didn't go as I kind of envisioned, but
I think it must have been better.
I think it was. I think it was better, and I think I learned a lot from it because the way I envisioned it was like it was just this just spontaneous kind of event where no one knew what the fuck was going on, but then all of a sudden there's a performance happening, and then all of a sudden dancers come out, and then I envisioned the dancers coming out, and then you just stopping talking to an individual, and then what the fuck, so rude, what the hell, and then you just walk over, take pictures or whatever you need to do, and then just start drawing, and then it's this whole just array of spontaneous chaos.
Yeah.
And I think I never really thought about this before, but I think maybe the reason why I thought of it being like that is because the creative world is spontaneous and chaos.
Mm-hmm.
That we have these thought processes that just come off the bat, and it's like a spontaneous thought, and then it's this, and I remember, and it even comes back to when you were teaching me that drawing you were doing that drawing exercise when we were in Camden, and it's this chaotic kind of thing, but within that chaos there is beauty.
There's structure, yeah.
And there is structure.
Yeah.
And I loved that about that, what you were teaching me about that, and I see that now within the thought process of this. I mean, like I said, what I see now is there needed to be some sort of structure. I needed to get on the mic and basically tell people what the fuck was going on. Otherwise, we'd have fucking 80 people outside, performance happening inside, and then. But that's what I loved about it, and that's what I wanted to say with the art as well. It's just I didn't want you to know what you were going to draw. And the thing that came out of it was fucking stunning and beautiful.
What's so funny? You said you wanted it so people didn't have a clue what was going on, and that was me, bro. I came in, I was like, first of all, where am I? Never been here before. This venue is sick. I walked in.
Venue Metre Squared, by the way, guys.
Oh, this place is insane.
Sick.
Honestly, and it's just opened up so many different avenues. But for the event specifically, when I walked in and you were like, that's your spot, first of all I was like, that's insane. Connor walked up to me straight away. It's like, yeah man, if you want to stick some nails in the wall, we can. They were really, really cool. He's like, yeah man, whatever you want to do, let's do it. Do you know what I mean? He whipped the toolbox out, started drilling holes in the wall, stick my stuff up there, and I was just like, this is really cool. I turn around and there's other creatives there, but everyone seemed to. I don't know why I have this word in my head, but it's marvel. They were kind of not in. They were in a different kind of mood, mind frame, where everyone at one moment just stopped. I swear I saw everybody stop
at the event.
At the event, and just look around and just be like, "Oh,
really?"
Yeah, because even the venue in itself, you look and over the bar, there's frames hanging from the ceiling, empty. There's so many different things that are going on, and then all of a sudden you'll jump on the mic and say, "Oh, someone's this," or I can't remember what her name was, but she jumped on the piano.
Luba.
Insane. And
Luba Hillman.
Yeah.
Luba Hillman. She's been in the community for quite a while. She's an amazing artist. Go check her out.
Insane. But these unexpected moments, it draws your attention to so many different places that you feel really comfortable being in that space. You know what's so funny? I was trying to explain this when I was doing my podcast, but I couldn't. And now it's here. It's perfect. You feel so comfortable being in that space because you almost know that there's something coming. You don't know what it is, but you kind of have an idea that you're probably going to enjoy that, but you don't necessarily know what it is. And I think that for you to create that kind of environment where people can come in and feel very comfortable, in a venue that they're completely not familiar with, I think that says massive props to your vision and what you you had in mind? Because I remember you explaining it to me, and I was like, that sounds insane. Like, you know, and like insane in the best way, because I'm trying to imagine what it looks like, and I'm painting my own pictures of it, but I'm never going to know what it looks like until I get there. And when you get there, like, this is where it goes back to the educational side of things, because I've learned, like, you said this and this is what it was, and it's like, so that's how you made the connection. You did this, you did this, you did this, you did this, you got mum involved, mum did this, da, 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 you know, and like, that's where your vision went. So if you did that, how would I relate it to something that I'm going to do? That's really cool. Constant learning. Everyone goes in there learning, they're looking.
We are always, all of us are always teachers, and we are always students.
Until the day we pass.
Until the day we pass. And as soon as we forget that, and we think of ourselves as just the teacher, that's when it can become quite toxic and and it can go down. I think having that mindset of just a constant student and teacher, I think, can just constantly elevate you, because you are constantly in learning mode. But then also, when you have an individual who may not know as much as you can teach them. But then those individuals can always teach you something that you don't know.
Yeah. It's so crazy, because like when you have that experience, it's very humbling, because I feel like naturally as humans sometimes we underestimate people, you know. But then if you do have time to kind of stop and just be a student, even to someone, even to a child sometimes, you know. I have in the job that I'm currently working, and I'm soon to transition away from that job, but man, I learn from kids. I teach kids martial arts, and sometimes you learn the most from them, just from something simple that they say, or something simple that they do, or watching them interact with other people, and
watching them be free.
Insane.
It teaches you so much, because it brings you back to that.
It does.
To that reality.
It does. Like, and you know, there's always something to learn, no matter from here all the way up to, you know, the people that you would value with the most importance. You know, there's always something that someone can teach you, even if the teaching is somewhat, say, negative. You know, you can always learn from that. You can learn either, you know, that's something that I'll avoid, or that's how that person dealt with that situation, maybe I could deal with it better, or that's how that person dealt with that negative situation, that's fantastic, let me, you know. And like, that translates to so many minute things, especially learning, like learning a skill. You know, like watching you take photos at Ella's event was insane, because you're like a little
fucking gremlin. People call me like a gremlin.
No, you know what, man.
Because it's my long limbs, and because I'm really quite flexible, and like I can like get into like.
I tell you who you remind me of, and not in like a bad way, because I think he's a sick guy. You know, X-Men, Nightcrawler, the guy that teleports.
Yeah.
That's you, man. I'll be like chilling, and then I look, and you're just like, bang, and I'm like. Oh, where'd you pop up from? And like, you hit the nice angle, like, and you leave. And then all of a sudden I'll look and you're over there shooting something, and then like, man,
then I'm fucking going off modelling for the. Because I was basically.
That was crazy. I had no idea you were going to do that as well.
So Ella Judge, guys. Ella Judge is an amazing individual.
Insane.
Shout out Ella Judge. She's a hard worker. She's passionate. She's multidisciplinary in so many different creative outlets. And she did a similar kind of events, which I think I've mentioned on the podcast before. London's Finest, and it was the same kind of event as the thrift event that we did as CandlerCreative, but it was on a bigger scale. They were showcasing people's art. There was brands there was a whole catwalk. And I basically said to Ella, let me help you out, because like, I've been a professional model and I love modelling. It's just a passion of mine. It's the same as photography. It's a passion of mine. And I said to her, look, let me help you out. So I got on the catwalk, and I don't think Josh didn't know.
No idea.
So, but I like to do everything. So I like to bring my camera, and I like to help in every single way I can. So I would before the catwalk, I would literally have my camera out, and then I'd get grabbed by Ella saying, Dan, you've got to get changed in 5 minutes for the catwalk. So I literally would run in, get changed for the catwalk, do the catwalk, then I'd finish, I'd be in the catwalk clothes, and I'd get my camera out, and I would just start taking photos again. Because that's just what I am, it's just what I love doing. It's just, but yeah, that's it's going off track, but.
You know, when you say this, like, it just brings me back to, you know, something that I always say, and it, like what I say, but I always put this in a bio. If someone asks me for a bio when it comes to content creation, it's about being in front and behind the camera. I think that people that can understand both sides of the camera, they are very different. In the sense that they know you have an image in your mind of what the camera looks like looking at you. I think this is okay.
Is it?
But yeah, like people always have, like, people that are creative that can jump in front and behind the camera. They have a different understanding of, in a way, I want to say vision. It's vision in a sense of what you see, and it's vision in a sense of what you imagine and your ideas as well. I think people that have a keen eye are some of the most fascinating people ever, because you could see two different things. You could see one thing in two different ways. Prime example was, did this with a group of friends, and a bunch of us saw one version and the other saw the other version. And it's, you know, the dress. Have you seen the dress? That
Yes, the gold and blue.
We did that. We did. One person sees gold and white, and one person sees black and blue.
Yeah, I saw black and blue.
And I think that when you have a creative mind, no matter what, you're going to see a very unique version of whatever lens you're looking through. And you're also going to have a very unique experience of whatever lens is looking at you.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you become whole as a creative, because you have, you know, that kind of outlook, but then there's still gaps. And I think that, you know, that's where it's been really interesting kind of like interacting with you, because you fill those little gaps with other people and their perspectives, which gives you a wider perspective and more learning. And I just, man, I'm so, do you know, I feel like I've said this sentence like constantly over the last 2 months. I am so here for it. That's going to be like my new motto. I am here for it. I'm here for all of it.
Fully, man.
I'm saying.
I'm here for it as well, and God, I feel like I could literally speak to you for hours.
It's sick. I love it.
Because there's so many different things. Maybe we should even do like a part 2. Because the thing is, I wasn't even thinking of going on these tangents, these philosophical tangents. It's always happened with me.
I love it.
But
it's so sick.
Because I wanted people to know who you are. And, you started with your dance, and you've mentioned a bit about your art, and we didn't really touch on like your martial arts side of things. We touched on your content creation. Like I'd love you to maybe give a little bit of insight, because right now you are an amazing artist, and I want people to understand your art and your just a slight little bit of that journey with that, so people can understand, and they can come to you and come to see your page and understand the reasoning behind your creativity. So with your art then, let's dive a bit about that, because you work with ink, right?
Yeah.
Sketch. Tell me a bit about that, and why that, and why you do the sketches that you do.
So the art, man, like, it just came out of the blue. Like, I know it was always there, but at the level that I'm doing it now, it's so new to me that it still surprises me. And I always do my best to have that level of humility in the fact that sometimes I don't even recognize it sometimes, and I'm just like, I can't fathom sometimes that I've created that. How it actually happened, shout out to Ben Pointer as well, because he set me on a different tangent when it comes to that through tattooing. So I've always sketched, always done a little doodle or a little something, but I never really took it anywhere because I had no patience. No patience whatsoever. Like I would draw something for an hour and be like, oh, it's not perfect, scrap it or just stop, you know. And it was so interesting connecting with Ben Pointer. I saw that, you know, he's into tattooing, and I saw how he tattoos. Tattoos in general are very like this as well, you know. They either do an outline and then work specifically expanding a section at a time, or working on a section here, section, you know, to bring the piece together. Watching him, you know, create, I realized that he really takes his time on the detail, you know, in like specific spots. Now, it didn't dawn on me that I'd even learned that at that point. But what then dawned on me was that I had always drawn the outline of something and then sketched from the inside out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because when I think of sketching, I always think of drawing from one location and then going. Yeah,
so that's what makes you a fantastic artist, in the fact that you can see that. I used to draw the box and then colour the box in, whereas I then decided to do a faint outline and work, as you said, either from one side to the other, start in the inside and go out, or start detailing in sections. Now, when I started doing that, I realised, man, this takes forever. This takes like, sometimes it will take me weeks to just do one. But after I've focused on that one section and then I've pulled back, I'm like, whoa, this looks crazy. And I started to believe in myself a little bit more, you know. It actually relates to martial arts, because I got injured in martial arts in June or August, I think June of 2021.
And was that after you were in West End? We skipped that part.
Oh,
we skipped that part, guys.
Yeah, I almost forgot all about that.
Oh my days, that's what I mean. We need like a part 2.
We will touch on that. The West End was crazy.
Yeah, because you were in Thriller, right?
Shout out Stevie T and the gang. Flo.
My guys.
All them lot. Oh my goodness. Tom Romali.
Did you
Leslie Bowman.
Did you do West End? Did you just do Thriller, or did you? Because I remember you saying you did Thriller, right?
I did Thriller West End, and then we took it out to Macau to debut as well. So that was the kind of extent of.
So was that so all that whole experience? Obviously, I'd love to touch on that, but was that whole experience before your martial arts?
It was before the martial arts, and before I say before the art. I was still sketching during that time, like just random little bits. But the martial arts injury messed my knee up, and it was pretty tough. Like, I was out for a while, and I remember seeing I'm gonna say Vince Staples. Don't know if it's the right guy. I'm pretty sure it's the right guy. Vince Staples is a barber, and he said a thing about, you know, when he was in COVID. It slightly relates to during COVID. Obviously, the barbers got hit the worst because you can't cut hair, you can't have interaction with people. And he turned to social media and he started telling, you know, kind of telling his story and stuff. And he said, I really started to sit back and think, if I couldn't cut hair anymore, what would I be good at? And I'm sat there with my leg in pieces going, if I couldn't dance or, you know, fight or teach anymore, what would I be good at? Obviously, after getting tattooed as well, I was like, man, I've always been sketching. I love sketching. My adopted mother, Cheryl, bless her, she passed when I was 6, but she loved art. She would go and sit, she was one of those people that go and sit in a field and sketch and sketch paint in watercolor and stuff like that, and I'd go and sit with her and do it sometimes. And I was like, that's something that I love and that brings me closer to her and makes me feel happy, you know. So I was like, let me try that. Started sketching, and just one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And I'm like, whoa, like, I can really do this. Like, it looks crazy. And I'm like...
And then was that back when, did you have that full process when you were younger? Did you like see the sketches that you were doing and you were like, yo, like, I'm fucking sick of this?
No.
Or
no.
Was that more like...
That was when I was injured.
When you were injured?
Yeah, when I was injured. When I was younger, I just used to love drawing random stuff and be like, oh, that looks cool, you know, or learning to draw. Do you remember Art Attack?
Yeah!
Oh my god, I was binging that every weekend, or whenever it was on.
Yeah.
Bless the guy, rest his soul, he passed a while back, but I remember like I would be practicing that all the time. Do you know what? That's such a memory that I've never spoken about, never even remembered.
Making all the little like you could get like toilet roll things and then making like little
paper mache balloons and stuff with the faces on it and everything.
Love that.
He was sick, man. But like, you know, like having that memory, like of something that I was really fond of, just made me want to get back into it. And then, funnily enough, the art came along, and in between the art, guess what came back? The content creation. I realized that I can optimize this so people can see it and view it in a certain way. Which also relates to martial arts, because I was doing a similar thing at the time for them, which I realized was probably better suited for me to use it in a way that benefits me. Because sometimes, you know, there's a level of appreciation that people have when they're creative, for creative things. And you realize that, you know, when you give a certain amount to a certain place, and perhaps it's not reciprocated in the way that you expect it as a creative, you realize that, man, I could give that back to myself and see how it expands and see how it reaches people and see if it even works in itself. And it did. That's pretty much how I reach you. And man, the art journey has just been so inspiring. I've really, you know,
so that was
2021.
2021.
Yeah.
We're in 2023 now, and your I feel like your art, mistake me if I'm wrong, but I feel like your art career now is just fucking popping off, bro.
It's insane, because I didn't realize it was a thing even when I was sketching back then. I didn't realize it was a thing until I'd created a certain amount of pieces, and then one day I just started flicking from my pad, and I was like, I don't want to like blow my own trumpet or anything, but I was like, fuck, these are kind of good. Like, do you know what I mean? I think I can do something with this, maybe. You know?
Yeah.
You always have that self-doubt and the imposter syndrome going, no, you're shit. You're terrible. You're like, and then, you know, you have people tell you, oh, you're great, this and the other, and sometimes, you know, that helps. But then you start to have an inner voice that's telling you it's good. And I think the whole reason why it was telling me that it was good is because it's something that you own in its entirety. When you're creative and you have something that you're good at, but something that is relatively self-taught, even from like a wide perspective, it's something that you personally worked on, that no one can say, I taught him how to do this, taught him how to do that, because, you know, not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, because you have to have a level of humility and gratitude to the people that have taught you things. But when you have something that you own in its entirety, and you know that's coming solely from you, from your soul, from your heart, from all the things that you've learned in the past, it's just a completely different feeling. It's like, this is mine.
Sometimes I don't think...
No, that's mine, you know?
Sometimes I don't think we really see that.
Yeah.
And it's this whole thing of like awareness that we would like to we were talking about. We don't really see it, but then there's a pinnacle moment. There's like a moment. There's always a moment throughout our lives, and I think it happens on multiple occasions where you do stop and you see that and you go like, whoa, like this is me, like this is mine.
It's crazy feeling.
And it's a crazy feeling, bro.
You almost don't even recognize yourself, you know. You don't.
It's very surreal.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I think in those moments you can be proud of yourself, you know, even if it is, you know, like. Well, I say even if it is, you have no idea of your potential when you're looking at something a week ago that you created. You have no idea because you don't know where you're going to be. But if you can look back and say, you know, that's great, let's go on to the next thing. You know, you should have a relative, you know, be able to have a bit of belief in yourself that you've created something that's okay. You will always be critical. We're creatives, we're perfectionists. You're always going to be critical of what you created. But if you can see an element of good in it, 2% in it, you know you can work on it. And it's just been such an inspiring journey. And I say, you know, you say, okay, your career's kicked off. Man, props to you for the event, because I've seen a substantial increase in my engagement since the event.
That's great.
In the fact that I was able to have people physically see what I've created. Another thing just off the back of that is that, like, man, this shit gets me emotional sometimes.
No, I'm funny saying because I'm getting emotional. Because it's the same thing of like what we were saying before, like what we were saying before, how you don't see it, and it's the same with
Sorry.
My guy. So that was Brooklyn. He's a part of Metre Squared. He was just coming up to us just to say hello.
He got one of my pieces tattooed on him. I've got to see it as well.
My guy, sick.
What?
Oh, dope. We'll have to go check that out in a second. What I was saying. I was just it's funny we were saying, because with this whole like community and like what I'm trying to build and like linking all these different people and then meeting you, and then like in the back of my head I know what that event did for you because of me reaching out and like but it's almost like I don't see it, and I don't tell myself like, yo bro, like, man, that was like you brought that to him, and like to get and like when you speak about that, and like I see that, and I see your engagement is increasing, and you're getting more views, and like you're getting people are now starting to are starting to see your work, and you even if you're getting sales and stuff, like it's moments like that, and like when I do clock it, it does get me emotional because it makes me see that like my passion and my fulfillment just comes, like it really does come from like uplifting like amazing people like yourself, amazing, bro, like-minded, people with amazing energies, and just loving, caring people like yourselves, because you, like people like you, deserve to be seen and deserve to be heard. And I think
I appreciate it.
Maybe subconsciously, when I didn't even really think about it before, maybe like that was my energy going towards you, because it's like, yo, you can feel in the deep. You may have not met this individual, but you can feel something that this guy is a caring, positive, dope individual. Thank you. Who deserves to be seen. And
really appreciate that.
And then for it then to happen, like, yeah, man, it just gets me so excited and just like really fulfilled, and like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I've actually done something, and it's just great. So sick. Sorry,
I'll expand on what you've done, because I don't think you probably would realize, you know, and it's so insane, because you know everyone kind of has their journeys, right? I'll start by saying, you know, I've been seeing a few things, you know, it's kind of like positive stuff on social media, and the fact that, you know, when you post something and you get 30 likes, most people feel disheartened, you know, or you get 30 views and you're like, oh. But I saw this thing, which is funny because it all links. Yeah, I saw this thing and it said, okay, you get 30 likes, right? And it feels like shit, because, you know, social media, you see people getting thousands, millions of likes and stuff, views and everything. If 30 people came up to you and said, man, you're fucking sick, you're like, man, that's a different, it makes you feel like probably the same, if not way more than if you had 1 million views on a screen, you know?
It's so true.
What you helped do for me is that, man, this kills me, bro. Kills me. But what you help do is that during a lot of the pieces that I brought, I kid you not, like, I say it to so many people, man, like, those pieces are like my babies, do you know what I mean? Because when I created them, I was in pursuit of like a new life in some respects, and you know, I'm only realizing that now. So when I started creating them, they are the rawest, most authentic parts of my personality on those pieces of paper. So for me to put them up on a wall, I know it sounds strange. For anyone else, I don't know if I would have been comfortable doing that, because like, I feel there's a measure of vulnerability with those sketches. Even me putting them up online, I put them up online, it's okay because they're on a screen, they're safe, they're with me, you know, no one can burn them or set them alight or break them or whatever. But putting them in the public in front of people was tough, like, because I'm like,
yeah, wow.
Like, I'm not sure if you saw,
really thought of it like
I bought them in a suitcase wrapped in t-shirts because I was like, they're really important to me. But each piece, man, I was in a freaking, like, I was in a good place, bad place. Like, every part of my life that was going right, that was going wrong is reflected into each of those pieces. You know, all the stress, or the heartache, you know, the people dropping into my life, out of my life, you know, something that stayed consistent is the art. So when people come up and they say, man, that's beautiful, I get like 10 different emotions in one moment. Do you know what I mean?
I'll bring a moment up which I don't think I'll ever forget, and I don't know why. Like, it's just, well, no, I know why. Because it was at Ella's event, and I remember we were both sitting on the sofa, and Josh had done the same thing. So he had drawn an awesome sketch and piece of art and stuff, and he had hung it up on the wall. And I remember he was like, both of us were quite tired, and we were just exhausted. We were sitting on the sofa, and I remember this couple coming up, and they were like, "Look, do you remember that?" They were looking, and they were like, "Yeah," because I've got a video in it as well. And they were just looking at, observing. I could hear, like, we could both hear them talking. I remember looking at them, just feeling so like overwhelmed with joy for you, because they didn't know that the artist was sat right there, and then I looked at you, and like it was just so joyful and humbling, like your expression and your energy in that moment.
I was in a different like brain wave. Like I can't even explain it. And you know, there's no better like people to surround yourself with to share that moment with. You have to be on a specific wavelength, and that's why I've got so much love for you, man. Because like there was no one better to share that moment than you, because in that specific otherwise we wouldn't have shared that moment of kind of sitting back. Because it's funny that you explained that, because I'm on the same way. I was sat there going, this guy's crazy, this is happening right now, you know, and like you're like one of the main connectives for this to happen. That's why like the last post I shouted you out as well, and that moment was just incredible, because people are seeing, you know, my pain, my anguish, my frustration, you know, my love, my passion, my happiness, all in one place.
And it's creating a different emotion for
for me,
for you, but also for these individuals
and for other people.
Yeah,
insane. Like, and for people to come off and just be like, even if they just stop and stare for a second, go off and do their thing, I know I've had an impact on someone, and I don't know what that impact is, but I think that art is about an emotion, you know? If you create something and someone goes, if you create something and someone goes, man, I hate that, that's insane. You know why? Because you made someone feel something for 2 seconds, even if, I hate that.
I love that, yeah.
Okay, your art has done its job. But when people revel in it, they marvel in it, or you know, they come up, man. People coming up in groups was just, I can't even explain that feeling. Kept coming up in groups and discussing it together, and then coming up to me and asking questions, and the array of questions as well. Can I just say, man, like I'm always throw this back to you, because like you've done that. Coming back to the point we said earlier, you've done that, and what you've done as well is that you've created an open flowing conversation where people have asked me questions and I've gone, the fuck, like, I don't know, because I've never had anyone ask that question before, and I've never thought about that. So then I've then educated myself in my own answer, and then realized like, whoa, or like they've asked me what's the most frustrating part, and I've realized I've had a conversation with that about another person, and then they've related to this conversation, and just the different conversations, different people, different backgrounds, different artists that were like, I sketch like this, but how do you do that? Like, what do you think when you do that? And you know, and I'm like, I don't know, like, but then when I think deep enough, bounce off the back of them, I find out what I'm thinking during that process, which then educates me and educates them. Incredible experience. That event was nuts. No, it was crazy, bro. Like, and yeah, man, I just want to say thank you.
No, thank you, bro.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because that's like, you say, man, my career's kicked off, but you know, it could only have kicked off from a level of me being open to, you know, receiving, but also from having someone there that is really open to I can never say that word, facilitating other artists, and you've done that. You did that, and I cannot wait for the next one.
We are definitely gonna have a different one. I need a bit of a rest.
The mental fatigue. And you're like, but the next one.
So last question.
Yes.
Which I think I'm going to start implementing into most of the episodes with people. Just quickly as well. What would you say was your catalyst? Your true start, your true catalyst to become a creative. So for instance, for me, when I was 10 years old, I went to Glastonbury, and I went to Glastonbury with my mum and my sister. My mum's an artist, so I'd always kind of drawn and done stuff, but never really thought about it. But the first time I really thought about being a creative, if I really look back, I think was the time I went to this festival, Glastonbury. And there was a circus tent, and in that circus tent there was like loads of different things. I just picked up a Diablo, and I got it straight away.
Sick.
Like the circus guy was like, "Have you ever done this before?" I was like, "Nah," and I literally just started doing it. And then I went home. I then bought a Diablo, and I feel like that moment when I picked up that Diablo was my catalyst, because it set me on a journey to learn about Diablo, and then I learned about how to ride a unicycle. Rode a unicycle for a couple of years. I did like different circus stuff, and then that went me on a journey of when I was in school to think, what can I do that's not academic? And because, you know, I struggle in school, I fucking hate maths, English, science, all this shit. I just can't do it. What can I do? And that led me to the performing arts, and within that performing arts, I could do, you know what I mean. So it all led to that. That was the start of my journey. So for you, when you were a kid, when you were in your teens, before school, can you think of one catalyst that set you on this journey?
Can I just say that question is banging? And like the way you delivered that, I was so enthralled for a second.
It's the only thing I wrote down.
I was like, the unicycle? You can ride a freaking unicycle? You're crazy, bro. I love that.
No, it's the only. I wrote a whole thing on my notes, and I didn't even listen to it.
My brain is like.
But it's just the one thing, because I think it's important to look back at that journey and go like, wow, like it's like we've said many a times in this podcast, it's like, whoa, like from that fucking pinnacle moment to here, and like looking at that life journey is mad.
That's insane. Like I have a few, like not like a few, because
No, I think we do have a few.
one. Yeah,
I think we do all have a few, but
the very first was my adopted mum, Cheryl, who me and my dad loved to eternity and back. She taught me how to draw birds, and it was simple. A little W, but stretched out. Man, if I could find anything, I was drawing it, like with crayons or whatever, on freaking walls. You know what I mean? Like what, you know, I was just always doing it because I knew, and then I would scribble the rest, this and the other, massive, like, because she used to do a lot of scenery and stuff like that, and she would top it off with like little birds in the top, you know, that would be flying, flocking, you know. Funnily enough, another thing about that, my dad is a bird watcher, loves birds as well. So there was that element of connectivity. Dad loves birds. You know, I could look, it's a bird. You know, he would love it.
You can have that connection with your father.
Absolutely,
in the sense of, you know, she's taught you how to draw a bird, but it's like you've related that with your dad's love and passion.
Yeah, so that's like something from a very young age where, you know, you kind of really. You really have that sense of connectivity, and then just always drawing. You know, her death really was a big, you know, massive change in my life, especially developing as a 6-7-year-old. You know that it does very, very drastic things to your mental health and all little bits like that. But being able to connect back with that on a level was crazy. I also didn't know that my brother, my eldest brother, on my mum's side, my biological mum's side, is very artistic. And I remember one day, he wouldn't know this actually, which I actually can't wait for him to see this. I went into his wardrobe and I found his art portfolio.
Sick.
And he's sick.
Dope.
He's so good. Like, I mean, back, it was a long time ago. I was very young, and I remember just taking it out. And I was like, "What the? Whoa!" And it was like his art portfolio. He was a very gifted, talented artist. And then my other older brother, the younger older brother, was the one that got me into dancing. So those pinnacle catalysts.
But which one was first?
My mum with the birds.
That's the catalyst.
That is
that is a creative, and then as soon as
I remember her grabbing, you know, when like parents, you know, when you have a small hand and they grip your hand around the pen, and they got their hand around yours,
and you remember that so vividly.
Oh my god, I can see it like it was yesterday.
I believe that is your catalyst. That's your creative catalyst.
Yeah. Like, and you know, sketching and art and drawing and being creative is how I feel closer to her, because I never really. I didn't have the best grieving process, and I feel like I had it extremely late. But I feel like it's all part of it. I feel like art is all part of that, and me having that connection, you know, with her, with my dad, is what my dad loves it. You know, he loves the art side of things, and he's always been very supportive of my creative side. Because I've been crazy since I was young. Like, you should see the old videos of me, nutter.
Same with me.
My dad was always like, "Yeah, that's just Josh."
Literally the same as my mum.
You know, and so I would say that is the main catalyst.
No, thank you so much for sharing that, and thanks for this, bro. Like, this has been so much on a higher level than I even anticipated. So it's so sick.
I knew it was going to be amazing, but I feel like it's always so much, so much more than like this day has been fantastic. I'm very, very grateful for you for doing this, because it's just, you know, I've got so much to reflect on now, and also I can't wait to watch this.
I can't wait to watch it either. Let's tell the guys, let's tell everyone, like, where can people find you?
So you can find me on my website, I almost added an extra W. www.iveys, that's iveys.co.uk. You can find me on Instagram at iveys.uk, iveys.uk. You can find me on TikTok at the same. I have to double check that, but I know if you type in IVEYS, you will find me there.
And I know on your Instagram page you've got a link tree, right?
I do.
People can go straight to that.
Yeah, you can just find me
Go
there.
to the website. Sick.
I'm on Facebook as well.
Guys, hit this amazing individual, amazing creative art. Like, he's popping off. His art and all of his whole creative flow is just incredible. And I feel honoured to have you as a friend and for this whole thing that we've like started. So yeah, sick guys. Cool, that's it. That's kind of Creative Chats. If anyone has any questions or anything they want to add, if they have any topics they want to get involved, email us at info@CandlerCreative.co.uk. That's info@Candler creative.co.uk, and hit us up. We'd love to hear from you, and give us a follow, subscribe, all that shizzle. But thanks a lot, guys. Sweet. We're out.
Let's go.